guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited because today I have a reveal of the lounge room, something I've been working on for almost 6 or 7 weeks now. The challenge is called the One Room Challenge, and I've done this once before with my master bedroom. And the reason I like taking on this challenge, even during the whole stay-at-home order and having the kids not in school, is because it gives me the motivation to start and finish a room. So if you're not familiar with the One Room Challenge, I will link it below and you can check out. There's a ton of great rooms and people do some fabulous DIYs and just all around producing some pretty cool rooms. So in this house, we just purchased this house in San Diego, and it's one of those homes that every single room needs to be touched. So nothing was like imperative it had to be touched right away, but everything in the end will have to be kind of renovated and redone. And some of them are just a phase one kind of refresh, just some fresh paint and new furniture, and other ones like need a full gut renovation. So this was one of those rooms. The reason I chose the room I'm standing in now, which we're calling the lounge, is because it was one I knew that for very, I won't say little effort, because nothing takes little effort these days, but without a too crazy amount of renovation and cost, we got this room looking really nice and somewhere we can't wait to hang out. So let me just walk you through kind of what I did. So the main challenge I dealt with this room was the lack of natural light. So I'm standing right in front of the double doors, and so there's good light on me right now, but the rest of the room, it's blocked off from any other light. So this is its only light source, and it's covered by a patio, a covered patio. I have not designed a dark room in so long that I had to go back to the drawing board on what paint colors to use. If you put a white in a room that is too dark, it can tend to look dingy in the corners. It can look kind of gray in the corners, and it doesn't actually pop white. So the first thing I did was remove the crown molding, then just give this a fresh coat of white paint. And what that did is it just gave me my aesthetic, which is a little bit more of a crisper, cleaner kind of blank canvas. And then it helped bring and reflect some of that light that does come in the room. And then the second thing was taking off that crown molding. It helped just make your eye go up. And it's a 1968 home, and I just felt like for the time period, and again, kind of the lines that I like, I prefer not having a dark oak crown molding. And there was all this oak in this room. There was red oak on the bookcases behind me. There's red oak on these doors that are in front of me. That crown molding had that red oak. And so I wanted to keep some sort of texture. I know that my aesthetic is like light and bright, but I still wanted to have that texture. So I'm pretty happy with how the bookcases turned out, just painting some of it. And I did a whole video on that if you want to see kind of how I came up with that design and that plan. But it still brought a great backdrop for the furniture and kind of the little vases and things that I love to display. But, kind of took care of toning down some of the red. For some reason, that red oak with just the right amount of white, it now has much softer and a little bit more modern of a feel, because red oak really isn't that modern. It really brings you back to the 80s and 90s, but I think it did the job for now, what I need. And sometimes as I change other woods throughout the house, I do feel like the doors might start to look really red again, but for now I really like the warmth with everything that's in the room. The floors are neutral and everything. Little backstory on the floors. The owner of this home lived here 46 years. Her and her husband lived here 46 years, and she stopped by the other day and I asked her about the floors, and they're from 1988. They were this Italian tile that she loved, and they laid it in this specific kind of pattern, and I think it's held up pretty well. Obviously the grout's showing some wear and tear where there wasn't a rug and where certain furniture was placed. It's much, you can tell the original look of it, but I think it worked really well as a neutral kind of backdrop for the rest of the room, and I could kind of play off that. Some highlights of this room are definitely the pass-through fireplace. I love this thing. We use it all the time, and I kind of just wanted to make this fireplace feel a little bit just more modern. And so I did end up painting. I went back and forth on whether I would paint the seat, and I did end up painting the seat with just this really simple chalk paint. And I love that kind of the whole room kind of plays off this fireplace. The wet bar was a great feature too. Like, the wet bar is so fun. It just gives this extra kind of spot that it creates this lounge vibe, So I would say this room is still a little bit of a work in progress, in the sense that I still have some molding to put around the bookshelves. And then I do down the road want to put some shelves right here in the wet bar. So I want to do either a glass shelf or an acrylic lucite shelf, something that kind of can house all the barware, but still has like a really clean feel to it. The furnishings in the room are definitely my favorite part. I had my eye on this sofa for a while, and it kind of ended up being the catalyst to how I designed the whole room. Postmodern is kind of making a big old comeback, and so those soft shapes and those round forms are something you see a lot of places, and a lot of companies are kind of grabbing onto that trend and making it more modern. So this sofa from CB2, it's a boucle fabric, which has this kind of nubby feel to it. The couch is actually great. It's deep, which I'm not a big fan of deep couches. I have two now, and I don't know why I keep buying them, but this couch I just loved so much, the vibe and the look of it, that I'm willing to deal with the fact that your legs dangle off, which some people love that. They love that it's kind of cozy and hugs you in. I tend to like want more of like a conversational type couch, but that would be my only negative to this couch, is just that it's deep. Everything else, it has a firm texture. I love that it's really clean in the sense that there's not a lot of cushions to fluff. I don't know if you've had a couch like that before, like some of those Restoration Hardware cloud sofas. You spend all day long fluffing the cushions, just trying to make them look nice. This couch does not have that problem. It always has like a kind of put together feel. And this was the starting point for the rest of the room. It brought in that postmodern angles and curves I wanted. I loved the fabric. And then obviously the bookshelves, keeping some of the wood tone, I think helped it pop off a little bit more. And then everything else is pretty mellow. I wanted to do swivel chairs so that you could turn towards the fireplace and turn back. I just couldn't land on any swivel chairs that were super fabulous and in my price range. So I saw a couple vintage styles that I loved, but then to reupholster them, it was going to be an absurd amount. So I ended up going with these tripod chairs. They were actually pretty reasonable priced from Urban Outfitters, and I'm really happy with them. I think the color, the little bit of color that I brought into the room with this army green kind of velvet color is like just enough to kind of ground the whole space. And then lastly, I did put a rug down, and I went with an 8x10. I went back and forth on the layout of the furniture, because the way the furniture was laid out when we toured the house, it had a little bistro table over in the corner, or actually it was even a little bit larger. And so I planned on putting some sort of bistro table in the corner, but as it kind of went through, I thought it would just be kind of weird having these two sections. So I landed on doing the big statement pendant, which we'll get to in a second, and then placing the furniture right in the middle. And you really don't know. You can map it all out with painter's tape, and you can kind of plan for what it will look like, but you don't know how it's going to feel until the furniture's in the room. And so I waited to order the rug. I got the couch in and I got the chairs in, and I was like, there is tons of room actually to walk around the little like placement of the furniture. And so I could go with a pretty large rug, because kind of rule of thumb, like you want your rug to be under all your furniture, even if it's just the front feet. You don't want it to like sit in the middle and look like it's floating, or like you kind of went cheap on your rug and you didn't get big enough. And then if you go really, really big, that's great, but you're gonna know you're gonna be walking on it and around it when you're going into the room, almost like a wall-to-wall carpet rug look. So there's reasons to do each, and I just wanted mine to kind of define the space we were using as the living room sitting area. So I went with an 8x10. It leaves me at least a foot on each side of my couch, and then it leaves some space on each side of the chairs. And if you've been here a little while, you know I won't just buy stuff as a placemaker. So I still have plans to get some end tables or add a little bit areas where we can put like a drink down. But I probably will make something, and I just really didn't see anything I loved and wanted to buy at this moment. The coffee table was a great little score off Facebook Marketplace. It was the perfect dimensions to just give like a really airy feel. I'm loving having like that glass where you can see through. And then the base just happened to work out. It was gonna be another DIY where I was gonna build some concrete pillars for the base, but you know, these challenges, they come up so quick that like having time to build anything on top of everything else can sometimes be a little bit hard. So this was great. Like I really like the style of this base. It was, you know, $50 off Facebook Marketplace, and I think it it works perfect for this room. Okay, the light, you guys, I love this light. I have loved this light for a really long time, and our home that we had before this, that we are currently still in, has all slanted ceilings, and this light does not work on slanted ceilings. I've tried. You can build this little block on slanted ceilings and hang it flat, but it's not a look I would do. I just don't like it. It definitely looks like you built it. So this light was something that like I have loved for a long time and I couldn't have, and so when I saw these flat ceilings in here, I already knew what light I was gonna put. So between the couch and that light, I had it pretty set what this room was gonna look like as far as the furnishings. And I just think it's perfect. It kind of, again, defines the room. It's bold, but it still has a neutral vibe to it. And this is perfect if you're looking behind me and you're wondering, why is there one light and not another? It's because 5 minutes before I turned the camera on, the second light came crashing down. So this is, and I probably will do a video on this, but this is a fun little hack, and I know it looks like it failed right now, but it works usually fabulous. It's basically, I bought hardwired sconces, but this brick fireplace does not have any hardwired electrical ran to it. So I buy hardwired sconces, I just tuck away the wiring, I put a battery-powered puck light that has a remote, and I command strip it up there. Now you can use liquid nails or some sort of E6000 or construction adhesive. It would work like a charm. I just don't know how long I want the sconces. I don't know if it's gonna be something that I'm gonna have a long term. So I wanted the ability to be able to remove it, and command strips are perfect for that. I love these. I'll show you in a little demo. They're great that I use I wanna say these are maybe 20 bucks off Amazon, and they come with this remote, and you can turn them off and on from the remote, which is great because then you don't have to go up to the light and click on the puck light. It's great because you can put it anywhere that you need a sconce, but you maybe don't have hardwired and you don't want to plug in. Like, this would look so weird to have a plug-in option on this fireplace. The wet bar, it was so tucked in here, and the light's so bad in this room. I feel like I can't really show off this wet bar as well as it is, but this is a very phase one. The cabinets are older, but I just wanted to clean it up, and I actually did contact paper on the countertops just because I think it went better with the cabinet, where before the cabinets were a little bit of that orangey light. It was actually a sponge paint. I thought it was burl wood when I first saw it in the MLS listing, and burl wood is another making a huge comeback, and it's super cool. And then when I got up close, it was just puff paint or sponge paint. And so that was just a quick primer and paint. I went with a color by Sherwin-Williams called Iron Ore, and I really like it. It's not deep, deep black so that it still photographs and you can still see the outline that it's a cabinet, whereas if you go too dark in this room, it will just look like a black hole. And then I had some different hardware, but I ended up just putting this really simple little knobs that I had on hand, and then I did the contact paper on the top, which was actually my first time using contact paper over countertops, and this was perfect spot because I didn't really care if it messed up. And it was so easy. I got this pretty high quality contact paper just from Amazon, and it looks good enough. There's like one little bubble, and I'm super happy with it. I would totally suggest using this. I've seen people even use it on their whole kitchen counters. I probably wouldn't do that because I wouldn't have the patience, but in a small application like this, or like RVs, I've seen people do it over RVs. It's so nice, and it feels nice. And then I do have plans. This is what I would say is a very work in progress, because I do have plans to, at a later date, add shelving to the side. So I took down the previous shelving, which was just some like melamine white shelves, and I plan to do either glass or a lucite acrylic, or something that's kind of clean, and I can hang the wine glasses and set different glassware on there. I love lighting. The last thing was this light fixture. Before it was a can light, and I had been wanting to use this can light converter kit for a while. So if you call an electrician and you ask them to change out your can lights, they usually, what's easier, or at least my electrician has done this for me over the years, is they will actually just run a light. So they will disregard the can light, they'll patch that and close it up, and they'll actually go right next to it and they'll put in another one. Or in this case, where it's in the center, they would just have to plop in new brace supports, put in the junction box, and then patch and repair. And so, you know, it's the cost of basically what it costs them their time. And sometimes it's between like 90 and $100 here in the States. In California, that seems to be about what I've spent to have that happen. But there's these can converter kits that I've been kind of having my eye on, where you literally just like screw it in to the existing can light. There's no drywall repair. And so I've been wanting to try it, and it ended up working out great. So you buy the size, I think this was a 4 or a 6-inch can converter. And then this light was actually sitting in the closet of one of the rooms, and I just loved the globe on it. And so I reused that. And yeah, it was really simple. I think it's pretty straightforward as far as the directions, and I'll link that below because I'll link the one I use below. I know there's a few different styles, but this just happened to be the one that I bought for the size light I had. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this room tour. It's the first room of many in this house, and this one was fun because it was trying to use as much that was already here, but also like finally having something in this house that felt like our aesthetic, or felt like my aesthetic. So stay tuned, and as always, thanks for watching my new little channel that I'm somewhat inconsistent on posting, but I love you guys, and I love that you've joined along on this like journey that I've decided to sign on to. But catch you next time. Bye.